Hey everybody, my name is Frank. This is the PothOnProgramming video log, and today I'm doing part 6 of the Stay Down devlog. Today I'm actually going to be adding some platforms and having those platforms move up, and we'll see where we are. If we have time, I'll try to do some collision with the player. But basically, we're going to be making a factory to generate platform objects, and we're going to be putting it all together inside of the run game state. So, excuse me, let's get started. Alright, first thing I need to do is come into the main folder here and create a new folder, and I'm going to call it factories. And inside of here, I'm going to make a new file and call it platform. I don't know if I want to do platform factory, platform manager. I'm going to do platform manager because this might end up doing more than just creating platforms. I might have like some other platform management stuff in there as well. So I'm going to call it platformmanager.js. I don't know if maybe factories isn't the right word. Let's go ahead and pull this in. Go to staydown.js. Oh, actually, staydown.html. Up here, I'm going to have to do script source equals factories / platform manager. I'm not sure if that's where I want to pull this in. Probably going to pull this in below our classes. I'm going to do a little bit of refactoring, nothing crazy, but just a little bit of refactoring to like where these are. So I'm also going to be, in addition to the factory, make a new folder, call it constructors, and I'm going to try to kind of mirror, if you look at, where is it, stay down.js, and this is why it's good to have folders, because after a while your project just gets a little bit too grand, too much stuff going on. So in here I've got a constructors object, so I'm going to have a constructors folder to hold all those constructor classes or constructor files. Then I'm also going to have factories. Let me call it managers. I'm going to call it managers. Managers. So instead of factories, I am going to call it managers. Let me go back to this, the platform manager, HTML. This is going to be managers. And it's going to be a factory because it's going to generate, oh, didn't mean to click that. It's going to generate platform objects, but it's more than just a factory. It's going to be a manager. So managers. Okay, don't need engine open. Stay down to HTML. We have managers, and then inside of our constructors folder, I'm going to pull in rectangle. Move. I'm going to pull in player, move, and I'm also going to make a new constructor file, and I'm going to call it platform.js. So this is going to be stay down.constructors.platform equals function, and this is going to return a constructor function called platform. So platform is going to be equal to a function. It's going to take, it's basically just going to be a rectangle. It's going to take x, y, width, and height. And we don't do that. We do this. Then we're going to have rectangle 2D dot call this x, y. This is going to extend the rectangle, and I was doing, to pull stuff in, if I take a look at the player file, what I was doing was passing in parameters here. So to access the rectangle 2D class or constructor, I would pass it in here, and on the bottom when I actually call this function, I'm passing in this right here. I don't want to do that. Here it's fine. I kind of like how it is here, but when we get to other files like the run game state file, I'm passing in document, display, controller, engine, states, game state, and player. And down here at the bottom, I actually have to pass all that in, and it's starting to get ridiculous. Like, this looks ridiculous to me, so I'm not going to be taking this approach anymore. I don't know if this is like a good way to do it. Probably not, because it just seems messy to me. But I'm going to do this, because stay down is in global scope. I have access to stay down no matter where I am in the application. But I don't want to use this big long thing here. I don't want to have to dot walk from stay down to constructors to rectangle 2D every time I want access to rectangle 2D. I just want to have access to it in the context of my code as rectangle 2D. So I don't know what you guys think of this. I don't particularly like this, but I really hate doing this. So I'm just going to go ahead and define local constants inside of my individual functions for my modules. I'm probably talking about this too much, so I'm going to stop, but I'm just going to do it this way from now on, and we'll see how that goes. It might be a little bit cleaner to look at, and that's my hope anyway. So we're creating a platform. It's going to extend the rectangle class. It's going to inherit the rectangle prototype. So the target is going to be platform.prototype. The source is going to be rectangle2d.prototype. Cool. So we want some of the functionality of rectangle, basically just the bounding box properties and methods for the rectangle. We don't pass anything into rectangle. Player we do. I'm going to refactor this as well. So we're going to come back to platform. Rather than passing this in here, we're just going to get it once at the top of the file. Cool. And hopefully I didn't break anything. So let's see what we get. Broke something. All right. Property update of undefined at cycle engine JS 26. That is almost certainly going to be something to do with me not adjusting this properly. So we moved the player and rectangle classes inside of the constructors folder. Okay, and now we're also going to bring in platform. Constructors slash platform.js. Cool. I can actually hear my computer fan coming on because the console is logging so many errors, and this just builds up this massive thing in the HTML for this. So the browser is trying to render all this crap, and it's just heating up my processor because I have a pretty slow processor. Alright, so that is fixed. Everything's back to normal. Let's go ahead and get a platform on the screen. In order to do that, using the platform manager, I'm going to have to put something inside a platform manager. So we've got constructors, we've got managers, we've got managers, platform manager. Let's do stay down dot managers dot platform manager. I don't know if I want to call it platform. I guess I could just call it platform. That might get confusing though. Whatever. Platform manager works for me. Function. That's wrong. I'm going to close that. We're going to call it platform managers. It is going to have const access to the platform class. So we need to bring in stay down dot constructors dot platform, and then we need to find a way to create some platforms, because everything we do with the platform in the run state, we're not going to be using platform. feel like the platform constructor, we're not going to be messing with any of that inside of the run game state. All I want to do inside of my run game state is say, hey, platform manager, give me another platform, put it here. And I'm going to be working with the platform manager, not the logic of creating platforms and pooling them and stuff like that, because I think we're going to do some object pooling. Maybe not in this video, but maybe in the next video, because I'm going to have a lot of platforms. I don't want to be instantiating them on the fly all the time. Let's do return an object literal, because this is not something we're going to be making multiple of. There's only one platform manager. We're going to have access to active platforms. Yep, active platforms is just going to be an array. And then create platform X, Y. And then inside of create platform, I'm going to do this dot active platforms dot push new platform. It's going to take X, it's going to take Y. The width is going to be 64. The height is going to be 4. So we can get a nice like slim platform going. Save, refresh, see if I did anything wrong. Not yet. I'm sure I will soon. Let's go back to the run game state and see if we can get some platforms on the screen. Ooh, I spilled water on my desk. Not good. Alright, so this is a mess. Before I do anything, I'm going to clean up this mess quite a bit. So I'm going to pull all of this stuff out. I'm going to get rid of all of this. I'm going to come up to the top, I'm going to paste it back in. I don't need to even have document. Again, there's something, I need to go back and research this, but the benefit of storing document in a local variable, apparently there's some benefit to that I read about. I don't know what it is. You should definitely research that, not just take my word for it. Let's see. So display, I'm going to do const display equals the stay down dot display. Const controller is going to be equal to stay down controller. And the main reason I'm doing this is just so I don't have to write stay down a whole bunch of times in my code and make it unreadable. Const engine equals stay down engine. Const states equals stay down states. Game state, get that constructor. Player, we're going to get that constructor. Cool, so now things should be functioning normally. I just don't have that mess of stuff at the top anymore. Let's see what we get. Everything works good. Organize this a little bit. Cool, it's a little bit easier to read. Nothing's broken. Let's take advantage of the manager. Okay, so const platform manager equals stay down dot managers dot platform manager. Cool. And here we're gonna have to reorder all of this a little bit. Sorry you guys have to watch this. OCD coming out a little bit. Save. Okay, that works. We got platform manager. Let's make some platforms. Let's come into I guess I should have a For now, instead of like just generating the platforms the way we would in the game, let's just get one on the screen and draw it. So down here where we're actually initializing, well, we're not really initializing stuff, but where we're assigning value to stuff, let's just make a new platform. Platform manager dot create platform 64 ground dot top. We're going to create it right at the ground. Save, and let's see if that works. That works. Now we need to draw that platform. So let's come up to render. And we're going to loop through all of our platforms after we draw the ground. For index equals, let's get a handle on that active platforms array. Var platforms equals platform manager dot active platforms. Index is equal to platforms dot length. The reason I loop backwards is because if you have to splice anything out of the array, it makes it easy to continue looping backwards, because if you're moving forwards in the array and you splice something out, the length of the array changes. So you actually have to move your iterator back one, because the next item you iterate onto is now in the same index position as the one you just removed. So iterating backwards is easier for that, just because, let's say I have 5 items in my array, I'm on item number 5, I splice it out and I de-increment. Okay, well now I'm still at index 4, but if I'm looping the other way and I'm at 1 and I splice it out, now everything moves back. So now the second item in my array is now at the first position, but my iterator still moved up to 2. So if I'm going to splice something out, I have to subtract 1 from my iterator to move it back. If you're looping backwards, it just makes that a little bit more simple. Also, if I'm looping forwards, I'm going to be doing something like for index equals 0, index is less than length. Okay, well, this is fine if I just have a variable for length, but if I'm doing platforms.length, I have to get the length property of platforms every single time. I have to calculate that. So it's like a minor performance loss. Whereas if I set index initially to platforms.length, I'm only getting the length one time, and I don't have to get it on every iteration. So that's why I loop backwards, if anybody was wondering. I think I said that before in another video, but who knows if anybody watched that particular video and remembered that. So anyway, let's get the platform. So var platform equals platforms at index, whatever the current index is, and then we're just going to say display dot fill style equals 090F0. We're going to make it pretty standard blue color that I use a lot. Probably going to change this stuff in the future. Like the colors and everything. I'm still not sure if I'm going to use actual graphics for this or if I'm going to just stick with the draw API. So we're going to set the fill style outside of the loop. If I make the platforms all have individual colors, then I'll put it back inside and set it to platform.color or something like that. But for now, they're all going to have the same color. We don't need to set fill style on every iteration of our loop, because that would just be unnecessary. So now we're just going to say display.fill rect platform.x platform.y. Okay, save. And that didn't work for some reason. So let's see what the problem is. There we go. All right. So the problem was platform.length. Let's say I have an array with one element in it. That element's index is going to be at index 0 of that array. I was setting index equal to 1 because the length of the array was 1. because I have one platform in it. So obviously when I try to get the platform at an index of 1, it's not going to return anything, and I'm going to have a problem. So I just had a problem here where I was starting off my index, and that's what caused that. Also, I'm going to redo this drawing code for the ground real quick, because this is obviously way easier than to draw a horizontal line than all of this stuff up here. So I'm just going to get rid of this, paste that. Didn't need to do that, but we're going to do, I copied the fill rect portion. Doesn't matter. Display.fill rect, we're basically just going to be drawing a rectangle for the ground instead of a line. So we're going to do fill rect, we're going to start at x of 0, y is going to be ground.top. We're going to do world width and 4. See if that works. Nope, didn't work. What is the problem here? Oh, stroke style. There we go. Cool. All right. And I don't know if you noticed before, but the platform was actually a little bit offset from the graphic of the line. You could actually see the line just a little bit over the top. You can rewind a little bit if you want to see it. But that's because of the drawing algorithm of the line. It's not the same as the one for rect. It's probably just aliased a little bit higher, like anti-aliasing drew a portion of the line just a little bit higher than it might have been if it was a rectangle. Obviously that's the case, but now we got our platform really nice in line with our, see if I can zoom in, it's like perfectly in line with the ground, so that's pretty cool. Just reset my zoom. Cool. Was I already zoomed in? It's kind of weird. Cool. So now we have a platform drawn on the screen. Let's make it move up, and then we can do something cool with it. So I'm going to take a function out of the player called move. Well, there is none, but basically I'm going to call it move up. Platform.prototype. Did I not define a prototype? Platform.prototype equals an object literal. And inside of the object literal, we're going to have move up, which is a function. And inside of this, we're going to do this dot y minus equals this dot move force. And then on the actual platform itself, we're going to define move force, which for now is just going to be 1. But I'm probably going to make the platforms have individual move forces, which might be randomized, probably will be randomized. So that's the reason we have to define move force and not just put a primitive in here, not just define it directly inside of move up. If they were all going to move up the same, I would probably just put 1 in here instead of move force, but they're all going to move at a different speed, I think. So we'll have a move force property on each one. Now we're going to save, we're going to come back to run. Inside of our update function, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to loop over all the platforms. Let's go up here to update. And I always kind of struggle with thinking like, well, I'm looping through all my platforms to render them, and I'm looping through all my platforms to update them. Wouldn't it be nice if they were all part of the same function? And I think it would be nice, but I haven't figured out how to do that yet and have my update and render loops separate. So also, you're not necessarily always going to be rendering every time you update, so there's that as well. So until I figure out a good way to get past that, we're just going to be looping over them twice, which kind of sounds bad. If anyone has like a suggestion on how to do that a little bit better, let me know in the comments, because I would be very happy to hear of a solution to that problem, which has been something that I've always thought about with this separate update and render function pair. It's something I made up, function pair. It's a pairing of functions, update and render. All right, let's go ahead and put this inside of here. So maybe I don't know if I want to do it after or before I update the player position. Probably want to do it before, because I'm going to do collision after I move the player, and I'm going to move the player after I move the platforms. So this is the pause function at the top. So let's just do pause. All right, here I'm going to paste this. I'm going to loop through my platforms, and this is what I said I wasn't going to do, but I'm going to move this into the platform manager. So I'm just going to say platform manager.update. But let's test it out here first just to see if I can get it working. So I'm getting my platforms array. I'm looping through all the platforms in the array. I'm getting a platform at the particular index. I'm not going to draw anything. I'm going to say instead platform.moveUp. Save. Cool. So now I have a platform that's moving up. And that's all it does. And it's moving kind of slow. Now we need to do some collision with that platform. So how do we go about doing that? Or do I want to do collision, or do I want to just have the platform set up? Let's do, I think in this video, I'm going to work on the collision. And then in the next video, I'm going to work on getting the platform manager set up so we can actually do stuff like object pooling and all that sort of stuff, because that should really be its own video. Object pooling is a topic that should probably be by itself. But for now, we can at least do collision between the player and the platform. So to do that, we're going to be looping through our platforms to move them, and probably testing collision with the player at the same time, because we can at least save a loop with that. Did I just say Control Z? Yes, Control Y. Okay, so after we move the player, we're going to do some movement on the platforms, and we're going to do some collision with the player and the platforms. So here's where this handy collide top function is going to come in pretty good. We're going to just come in here and we're going to say platform.moveUp. We're going to say player dot, nope, we're going to say collide top player, comma, platform.top. Can I do platform.top? Is that even a thing I can do? Let's go back to platforms. No, but I can go to, where's rectangle? Does it have a get top? It doesn't have a get top function yet. So right now I have get bottom and set bottom. Let's go in here and do get top. Not gonna do that. Return, well, this is lame. This dot y. Okay, I don't know if that's even, for just the sake of getting all of our values the same way for readability purposes, I'm gonna make this function that returns this dot y, but you could just as easily say this dot y to get the top, so I don't really know if this is even a good way to do this. I'm gonna do it just for uniformity of getting the different sides of our rectangle. Obviously you don't have to do that if you think it's ridiculous, because it kind of is. Not in here, in here. All right, so we're back in the run game state file. We're going to do platform.getTop and see what happens. Ooh, nice. Okay, so I'm colliding with the platform just on the top. Obviously, we're gonna have to work on that a little bit. So, I really was expecting him to fall through, but the way the collide top function works is not that way. We're gonna actually have to modify both the player and the platform in order to get this to work properly, to where he can fall on the side. So let's do function collide platform. It's going to take a platform, should I do rectangle? I'm going to pass in player. And that's actually not the way I want to do it. Rectangle, comma, actually I really do want to do player and platform. The problem with this is player is already defined, so this is going to be a name conflict, I'm pretty sure. So I'll just do player and platform. Okay, so we're gonna have to get some stuff here, and we're gonna have to beef up the rectangle classes functions here. So we got get top. Let's do set top. Again, stupid, but for just the convenience of having all these functions be named in the same way and how we use them is kind of the same, I'm gonna do it anyway. Let's do get right and get left. Get right, return this dot x plus this dot width, and get left, return this dot x. Cool. And then set left and right is going to be in here as well. Set left x, this dot x equals x. Set right x, this dot x equals x minus this dot width. Okay, so we're setting the right side of the player to whatever value x is. So this dot x is going to be equal to x minus the width. Okay, yeah, that's right. Save that. Now we can get all the different sides of our platform, because obviously we want to fall off when we're over here, right? We want to fall off when we're not actually in intersection with the platform. In order to figure out if we're in an intersection with the platform, we need to figure out, are we within the left and right boundaries as well as the top and bottom. Okay, so let's go back to run. If player underscore dot, well, if player underscore dot get right is greater than platform dot get left, and player underscore dot get left is less than platform dot get. There's actually a better way of doing this. Let me do it this way. We're gonna early out instead of checking for a collision, like all of the collision possibilities matching. So let's do, if the right side of the player is less than the left side of the platform, so if this is my platform, this is my player, if the right side of the player is less than the left side of the platform, we don't have a collision. So we're going to return false. Or if the left side of the player is greater than the right side of the platform, then we're also going to return false. And finally, we got to check top and bottom as well. Or player underscore, I'm getting in the way here, player underscore get top. If the top of the player is less than the bottom of the platform, then we're going to return false. Or if player underscore dot get, the bottom of the player is higher up than the top of the platform, okay, so if any of these are true, we're going to return false, because there can't be a collision if any of these things are true. and if we don't return false, then we're going to continue on and do the collision. So player dot set top, we're going to set to platform dot get top. So we're going to set the bottom of the player to the top of the platform. Save. And then we're going to come down here. When we're looping through our platforms, we're going to move them up, and we're going to collide platform, player, and the platform. I could have done 2 rectangles here, but I'm thinking I might change this. We'll see. This is why I'm passing in player and platform rather than just having Clyde platform just be something that says Clyde rectangle and having 2 rectangles. But I'm probably going to make it Clyde rectangle or Clyde rectangles and just passing in 2 rectangle objects. So let's see if this works. Well, that didn't work at all. Okay, so what's the problem? If we got player.set the bottom of the player to the top of the platform. So if if the right side of the player is less than the left side of the platform, we return false. If the left side of the player is greater than the right side of the platform, we return false. If the top side of the player is greater than the bottom of the platform, or if the bottom of the player is less than the top of the platform. Save. Okay. Nice. Okay, so now we're on the platform and we fall off when we're on the side. Cool. This is not the best perfect ideal way to do this, by the way, but I'm gonna make it better. We need to be able to jump. So we're gonna improve on this a lot. But for now, as you can see, we have something that actually kind of works. And we're gonna add some platforms so we can test this a little bit better. But for right now, let's get it so we can jump when we're on top of the platform, because that'll be pretty cool. All right, so how do we make them jump when we're on top of the platform? The same way we did inside of, well, wait a minute, Clyde top didn't have that either. So we're gonna do return true. So if we get a collision, we're gonna return true. And we're gonna do the same thing we did for colliding with the ground. So if, don't like that if closeness. All right, if we are colliding, we're gonna do player.ground. And I don't need this in here either. Well, I do need that in there, but we don't need the brackets because there's only a single statement that we're making after that condition is true. So I'm gonna do the same thing here. I'm just gonna say, if I'm colliding with the ground, we're gonna ground the player. And if I'm colliding with the platform, we're going to ground the player. And I'm gonna save. I'm gonna refresh. All right, cool. So now I can jump when I'm on top of this platform, and I can fall off the sides of the platform. So that's pretty darn cool, I would say. We can fall off both sides. Ooh. So the thing about this is, you see how he just like warped through? All we're testing for is if one rectangle is actually touching the other rectangle, and if it is, we set the bottom of the player to the top of the rectangle of the platform. So let me make this so for testing purposes, I'm gonna have this platform just warp back to the bottom of the screen once it gets to a certain height. So move up, we're gonna say, we're just gonna hard code this right in here. We're gonna make it messy. If platform.y is less than 200, platform.y equals world height. See if we get a warp. Might be a little too high, but yeah. Okay, so now we're warping the platform back down to the bottom so we could actually mess around with it a little more. I'm gonna set this to 300. Cool. So now we can see, not quite. But you see how like when I jump into that platform or even touch it, it warps me right up to the top? I think in the next video, we're gonna fix that. And then the video after that video, we're gonna do object pooling. And we're gonna have a bunch of platforms on the screen moving up at different speeds, and it's gonna be cool. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you learned something. I hope you find this content pretty cool. I definitely need to spruce it up a bit because this is not like the most glamorous thing ever, but you learned a really rudimentary way to make platforms and do basic rectangle collision with platforms. It's not game ready yet, but we're gonna make it game ready in the coming videos. So thanks for watching. I'm gonna go ahead and sign out.